tariffs raise prices, you can't impose tariffs and lower prices at the same time.
Imagine paying $18 for that salmon fillet that cost $13 last month, or watching your morning coffee jump by $2 per bag. With new tariffs hitting up to 46% on seafood from Vietnam, and even your Mexican tomatoes facing an 18% hike, your grocery bill is about to get shocking. Here are the top 12 foods you should buy now before prices potentially double by June. Seafood. First on our list, seafood. This might be the category hit hardest by the new tariffs, and here's why. Did you know that the US imports up to 85% of its seafood? That's right, the vast majority of fish and shellfish on American tables comes from overseas. But what few people realize is just how dependent we are on countries facing the steepest tariffs. Vietnam, a major seafood supplier to the US, is now subject to a staggering 46% tariff. Other significant sources like Chile face 10% tariffs, while Indonesia faces 32% and India 26%. The impact is already starting to surface. Seafood importers are scrambling to secure inventory before the full effect of these tariffs hits. Industry analysts predict shortages of popular items like shrimp, tilapia, and frozen fish fillets. Some specialty seafood items could disappear from grocery stores entirely as importers decide certain products are no longer profitable to bring in. This translates to some serious sticker shock. That salmon fillet you paid $12, $99 per pound for last month? Don't be surprised if it's $18 or more by June. Budget-friendly options like frozen tilapia and shrimp staples for many working families could see some of the steepest increases. And who bears the brunt of these increases? It's not just seafood lovers. Think about the thousands of restaurant workers whose livelihoods depend on affordable seafood. Many small coastal restaurants are already struggling with rising costs, and these tariffs could force menu prices up by 15 to 20% or more, driving away customers and threatening jobs. Should families already struggling with inflation now have to choose between nutritious seafood and other necessities? If seafood prices jump this dramatically, what does that mean for people who are trying to maintain healthy diets on tight budgets? And it's not just seafood feeling the impact. That morning cup of joe you rely on to start your day, it's about to hit your wallet even harder. Coffee. Next up is a morning essential for millions. Coffee. That daily cup of joe you rely on, it's about to get a lot more expensive, and you should consider stocking up now. What many people don't realize is that 99% of coffee consumed in the US is imported, primarily from countries in Latin America. Brazil, which supplies a significant portion of America's coffee beans, faces a 10% tariff, while Colombia, another major supplier, is also subject to tariffs.
We import stuff from other countries because we don't grow much of it here. Like coffee, for example.
The coffee supply chain is particularly vulnerable to price increases because it's already been dealing with climate-related challenges affecting harvests. Add tariffs to that equation, and we're looking at a perfect storm for coffee lovers. Industry experts are warning that both supermarket coffee and your favorite cafe drinks will see price hikes. Major coffee chains are already preparing customers for increases. For grocery store coffee, expect to pay anywhere from 50 cents to $2 more per bag, depending on the brand and origin. But the impact extends far beyond your personal budget. Consider the thousands of independent coffee shops across America, small businesses that operate on razor-thin margins. Many of these shops are still recovering from pandemic-related losses, and now they face the impossible choice of raising prices and potentially losing customers, or absorbing costs they simply can't afford. For the baristas and staff who rely on these businesses for their livelihoods, these tariffs could mean reduced hours or even lost jobs. And in communities where the local coffee shop serves as a gathering place and economic anchor, the ripple effects could be substantial. If you're a coffee drinker, consider purchasing an extra bag or two of your favorite beans now. Properly stored, coffee can maintain quality for several months, especially if frozen. While your morning brew might cost more, the evening glass of wine you enjoy to unwind could also leave your wallet feeling lighter. Wine. Third on our list is wine, a category that's about to see some significant price increases, particularly for imported varieties. This might not be a daily essential for everyone, but for many Americans who enjoy an occasional glass with dinner or who celebrate special occasions with a nice bottle, the impact will be noticeable. Wines from Europe, including those from France, Italy, and Spain, now face 20% tariffs, while wines from Australia and New Zealand are subject to 10% tariffs. These countries represent the majority of wine imports to the United States. What many wine enthusiasts don't realize is how quickly these tariffs will affect retail prices. Unlike some other products where retailers might absorb costs temporarily, wine is typically marked up based on the landed cost, meaning tariffs translate almost directly to higher shelf prices. Industry analysts predict price increases of at least 15 to 25% for European wines by early summer. That $15 bottle of Spanish Red could soon cost $18.19, while higher-end wines could see even steeper dollar increases. The timing is particularly unfortunate for small wine shops and distributors across America. These businesses often operate with limited capital and cannot afford to stock up significantly ahead of price increases. Many are still recovering from pandemic-related losses and supply chain disruptions that have plagued the industry for years. For consumers, especially those on fixed incomes who enjoy an occasional glass of imported wine, these price increases represent yet another squeeze on discretionary spending. And for restaurants already struggling with food inflation, wine list prices will likely increase, potentially affecting sales and server tips. What does it mean when even small pleasures become increasingly unaffordable? If you have upcoming celebrations or enjoy specific imported wines regularly, purchasing a few extra bottles now could save you considerable money in the coming months. Wine isn't the only indulgence facing steep increases. That healthy handful of nuts you snack on, they're about to cost you a lot more crunch for your buck. Nuts. Fourth on our list, nuts, a nutritious snack and cooking ingredient that's about to get much more expensive. While nuts may seem like a small part of your grocery budget, the price increases coming could surprise you, especially if you regularly purchase certain varieties. The majority of popular nuts like cashews, macadamias, and even some almonds are imported, often from countries facing significant tariffs. Vietnam, which supplies many of the cashews found in American stores, now faces a steep 46% tariff. India, another major nut supplier, faces a 26% tariff. The impact is already being felt throughout the supply chain. Importers report that wholesale prices for cashews have jumped 15 to 20% since the tariff announcements, with further increases expected once current inventories are depleted. By June, consumers could see cashew prices 30 to 40% higher than they were at the beginning of the year. People who rely on nuts as a protein source or healthy snack option, these increases present a real budget challenge. A 1-pound bag of cashews that cost $8.99 in January could potentially cost $12 or more by summer. Mixed nuts and specialty options like macadamias could see even higher percentage increases. The price hikes could be particularly difficult for small businesses like bakeries, ice cream shops, and specialty food producers who use nuts as ingredients. Many of these small operations cannot easily absorb significant cost increases or pass them on to customers without risking sales declines. And for health-conscious consumers and those with dietary restrictions who rely on nuts as a staple protein source, these price increases could force difficult nutritional compromises. Is it reasonable to expect families to sacrifice healthy food options because of trade policies?
It's a self-inflicted economic crisis, and it's worse than the worst-case scenario most experts feared.
If nuts are a regular part of your diet or cooking, consider purchasing shelf-stable varieties now. Properly stored in airtight containers in a cool, dry place, most nuts will maintain quality for 6-12 months, and they can be frozen for even longer storage. Speaking of imported foods that define authentic flavors, European cheeses are facing a perfect storm of tariff troubles that could transform them from everyday pleasures to occasional luxuries. Cheese. Fifth on our list is cheese. Particularly affected will be imported varieties like Parmigiano Reggiano, Brie, Gouda, and other European favorites, which now face 20% tariffs from countries like Italy, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. The authentic imported cheeses aren't just luxury items, they're staples in many kitchens, especially among the country's diverse ethnic communities. These cheeses often have protected designation status, meaning they cannot be legally produced elsewhere. There's simply no American substitute for true Parmigiano Reggiano or authentic Manchego. The tariff impact is expected to be significant. Industry experts predict that by June, consumers could see price increases of 15 to 25% on imported European cheeses. That wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano that currently costs $15 could soon be $18 or more. For specialty cheese shops, these increases represent an existential threat to their business model, but the consequences extend beyond just higher prices for cheese enthusiasts. The ripple effects on restaurants, particularly those specializing in Italian, French, or Mediterranean cuisine. Many of these establishments, often small, family-owned businesses, rely on authentic imported cheeses as fundamental ingredients. They now face the impossible choice of raising menu prices, compromising on quality, or absorbing costs they cannot afford. People with European heritage who use specific cheeses in traditional recipes, these tariffs add yet another financial barrier to maintaining cultural food traditions. And for the thousands of specialty food store employees and cheesemongers whose livelihoods depend on selling these products, the reduced sales volumes could mean fewer work hours or even job losses. Is preserving culinary traditions worth protecting? Should access to authentic cultural foods be limited by trade policies? Start buying extra now. Most hard cheeses will keep for months in the refrigerator when properly wrapped, and many can be frozen for even longer storage. If cheese prices have you concerned, consider what's happening to that Mediterranean staple you drizzle over nearly everything. Olive oil is next on our warning list. Olive oil. Sixth on our list is olive oil, a kitchen essential that's already experienced price volatility and is now set to become even more expensive. If you cook regularly, this is one item you'll definitely want to stock up on before prices climb higher. Approximately 95% of olive oil consumed in the United States is imported, primarily from European countries including Spain, Italy, and Greece, all now subject to 20% tariffs. Even non-European sources like Tunisia face tariffs of at least 10%. The timing couldn't be worse. Olive oil prices were already elevated due to drought conditions affecting production in Spain, the world's largest producer. Industry analysts now predict that by June, consumers could see olive oil prices 25 to 35% higher than they were at the beginning of the year. For practical shoppers, this means that 500 milliliters bottle of extra virgin olive oil that cost $12 in January could soon cost $15-16 or more. Premium and organic varieties could see even steeper increases.
You can argue that targeted tariffs are worth it for some other policy goal, but you can't argue that they magically bring prices down.
The impact will be particularly severe for Mediterranean restaurants and specialty food producers who use olive oil as a primary ingredient. Many of these businesses are small, family-owned operations that cannot easily absorb such significant cost increases. Some restaurant owners report that olive oil represents 5 to 8% of their total food costs, a percentage that could rise dramatically with these tariffs. For health-conscious consumers who use olive oil for its documented health benefits, these price increases could force difficult compromises. And for Americans with Mediterranean heritage who use olive oil daily as part of their traditional diet, these tariffs represent yet another financial barrier to maintaining cultural food traditions. Is it reasonable that a basic healthy cooking ingredient like an olive oil becomes increasingly unaffordable? How do people have to compromise on the quality of such a fundamental food staple? Now is the time to purchase extra bottles. Properly stored in a cool, dark place, good quality olive oil will maintain its characteristics for 24 months after bottling. Check the harvest or best by date and purchase accordingly. From savory to sweet, chocolate lovers need to pay special attention to what's coming next, as this beloved treat faces a double hit of challenges. Chocolate. Seventh on our list is chocolate, a beloved treat that's about to become more expensive due to a perfect storm of challenges. If you have a sweet tooth or regularly bake with chocolate, you'll want to pay close attention. Cocoa beans, the primary ingredient in chocolate, are almost entirely imported, mainly from West African countries like the Ivory Coast, which now faces a 21% tariff. Ecuador, another significant source, faces a 10% tariff. But tariffs are just one part of the problem. Cocoa prices were already at record highs due to poor harvests and disease affecting cacao trees. Add the new tariffs, and chocolate manufacturers are facing unprecedented cost pressures from multiple directions. Industry analysts predict that by June, consumers could see chocolate prices 20 to 30% higher than they were at the beginning of the year. That $3 chocolate bar could soon cost $3.60 or more, while premium chocolates could see even steeper increases. Baking chocolate, chocolate chips, and cocoa powder will all be affected. The timing is particularly challenging for small chocolate makers and bakeries. These artisanal businesses operate on narrow margins and often cannot afford to stock up significantly ahead of price increases. Many have already weathered multiple cocoa price hikes in recent years and have limited capacity to absorb further increases without raising prices to consumers. For children, these increases could make a simple pleasure increasingly unaffordable. And for the thousands of workers in chocolate shops, bakeries, and specialty food stores, reduced sales volumes could mean fewer work hours or even job losses. Is it fair that a small joy like chocolate becomes less accessible to ordinary Americans? If chocolate is your regular purchase, buy extra now, especially baking chocolate, cocoa powder, and chocolate chips, which have a long shelf life when properly stored. Most chocolate products will keep for 12 months or longer if stored in a cool, dry place. While chocolate might seem like a luxury to some, our next item is a baking essential that's about to see one of the largest percentage increases of any food on our list. Vanilla. 8th on our list is vanilla, an ingredient that may seem minor, but could see one of the largest percentage price increases of any food item. If you bake regularly or enjoy vanilla-flavored products, you should know what's coming. Genuine vanilla comes primarily from Madagascar, which produces over 80% of the world's supply. With potential tariff increases from 10% to 47% on vanilla from Madagascar, this baking staple is poised for a significant price shock. The vanilla supply chain was already fragile. Real vanilla is labor-intensive to produce, requiring hand pollination and a lengthy curing process. The global market has experienced extreme volatility in recent years due to cyclones and other challenges affecting Madagascar's production. Industry experts predict that by June, consumers could see pure vanilla extract prices 30 to 40% higher than current levels. That small 2-ounce bottle of pure vanilla extract that currently costs $8.10 could soon cost $11.14 or more. Vanilla beans could become become prohibitively expensive for average consumers. The impact extends far beyond home bakers. Consider the thousands of small bakeries, ice cream shops, and specialty food producers across America who rely on vanilla as a fundamental ingredient. These small businesses, many still recovering from pandemic-related losses, now face difficult choices: raise prices, change recipes, or absorb costs they simply cannot afford. People who enjoy baking together or who have special recipes that call for real vanilla, these price increases represent yet another financial barrier to maintaining cherished traditions. And for those with dietary restrictions who rely on home baking with quality ingredients, fewer affordable options will be available. Is it reasonable that simple baking ingredients become luxury items? Purchase extra pure vanilla extract now, properly stored in a cool, dark place. It will maintain its quality for 2, 3 years, or even longer. While imitation vanilla is less affected by these tariffs, the flavor difference is significant to many bakers. Vanilla's steep price climb is just the beginning of flavor challenges. Your entire spice cabinet is about to become significantly more expensive to maintain. Spices. Ninth on our list are spices, the flavor foundations that define the cuisines many love. While these might seem like small purchases, the coming price increases could significantly impact your grocery budget and cooking options. What many home cooks don't realize is that approximately 80% of spices used in the United States are imported, primarily from countries now facing substantial tariffs. India, a major spice producer, faces a 26% tariff, while Indonesia faces 32%, and Vietnam a steep 46%. Common spices expected to see significant price increases include black pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, turmeric, and vanilla. Many of these spices cannot be commercially grown in the US due to climate requirements, meaning there are few domestic alternatives. Industry analysts predict that by June, consumers could see spice prices 15 to 25% higher than current levels, with some specialty spices potentially seeing even larger increases. That jar of cinnamon that costs $4 today could soon be $5, while more expensive spices like saffron could see dollar increases in the double digits. The timing is particularly challenging for small ethnic grocers and specialty spice shops across America. These businesses often operate with limited capital and serve specific community needs. Many are family-owned operations that cannot afford to stock up significantly ahead of price increases or easily pass costs to price-sensitive customers. For immigrant families who use specific spices to maintain their cultural food traditions, these tariffs add yet another financial barrier to preserving heritage. And for Americans who have embraced diverse cuisines in their home cooking, exploring global flavors could become increasingly costly. Now is an excellent time to inventory your spice rack and purchase items you use frequently.
Think about everything you need for the next 6 months. Buy it now, if you can afford it. It may save you hundreds, if not thousands later.
Properly stored in airtight containers away from heat and light, whole spices will maintain their quality for 2, 3 years, while ground spices generally stay fresh for 1, 2 years. While spices might seem like small purchases, the fresh produce section, where health-conscious shoppers spend a significant portion of their grocery budget, isn't immune to these tariff effects. Fresh produce. 10th on our list is fresh produce, a category essential for healthy eating that could soon see significant price increases, particularly for off-season fruits and vegetables. The United States relies heavily on imports for many fruits and vegetables, especially during winter months. Countries like Peru, Guatemala, and Costa Rica, all now facing 10% tariffs, supply significant amounts of America's bananas, berries, melons, and tropical fruits. The impact of these tariffs is complicated by several factors. Fresh produce has a short shelf life, meaning retailers cannot stock up far in advance. Additionally, growing seasons and weather conditions already create natural price volatility for these products. Industry experts predict that by June, consumers could see imported fruit prices 10 to 15% higher than usual seasonal levels. Items like berries, grapes, and tropical fruits could see the most significant increases. For example, that $5 container of blueberries could soon cost $5.50, $5.75 or more. The timing is particularly challenging for small grocers and produce markets serving low-income communities. These businesses operate on extremely thin margins and often cannot absorb significant cost increases without raising prices to customers who can least afford it. Is it reasonable to expect parents to compromise on the quality of food they provide their children? While you cannot stock up on most fresh produce long-term, consider buying frozen fruits and vegetables now. Properly stored in your freezer, these will maintain nutritional value for 8-12 months.
Buy those now and freeze them. They last a long time in there.
Also, plan to take advantage of local growing seasons in the coming months when domestic produce is typically more affordable. From plant-based nutrition to protein essentials, meat prices were already climbing due to domestic challenges, and now tariffs are adding fuel to that financial fire. Meat. 11th on our list is meat. a protein staple in many households that's expected to see noticeable price increases by June. While the U.S. produces most of its own meat, import tariffs will still affect prices in ways many consumers don't anticipate.
Items to buy now: meats. The U.S. produces a good amount of meat, actually, but also imports a lot of it from Argentina and Australia, both facing stiff tariffs.
Approximately 90% of beef consumed in the U.S. is domestically produced. Important supplemental supplies come from countries like Australia and New Zealand, both now facing 10% tariffs. These imports help balance seasonal domestic production and provide specific cuts in high demand. The impact is expected to be significant for several reasons. First, the U.S. cattle herd is at its smallest size since 1951, already creating upward pressure on beef prices. Second, as imported beef becomes more expensive, domestic producers gain pricing power in the market. Finally, competition for available meat supplies intensifies as retailers and restaurants scramble to secure inventory. Industry analysts predict that by June, consumers could see beef prices 10 to 15% higher than they were at the beginning of the year, with certain popular cuts potentially seeing larger increases. That pound of ground beef, currently costing $5.99, could soon be $6.50, $7 or more, while steaks and roasts could see even steeper increases. The timing is particularly challenging for restaurants, especially those specializing in burgers and steaks. These businesses have already weathered significant food inflation in recent years and have limited capacity to absorb further increases without raising menu prices. These increases could force difficult dietary changes. And for the millions of people who rely on ground beef as an affordable protein option, fewer budget-friendly alternatives will be available. Purchase extra now and freeze it. Properly wrapped, beef will maintain quality in the freezer for 6-12 months depending on the cut. Also, explore alternative protein sources like chicken, which may be less affected by import tariffs, and plant-based proteins. As concerning as meat prices are, they might not see the most dramatic increases on this list. That distinction goes to a versatile kitchen staple that appears in countless family favorites: tomatoes. Last but certainly not least on our list, tomatoes, a versatile ingredient used in countless dishes that could see some of the most dramatic price increases of any food item. If pasta sauce, salsa, or fresh tomatoes are staples in your kitchen, you need to know what's coming. Mexico supplies the majority of tomatoes consumed in the US, especially during winter months. With a 17.9% tariff on Mexican tomatoes, your pizza, pasta sauce, and salads are about to get significantly more expensive. The impact could be severe, with industry experts predicting tomato price increases of up to a staggering 50% by June. That package of Roma tomatoes currently costing $3.99 could soon be $5.99 or more. Canned tomatoes, tomato paste, and prepared sauces will also see price increases as current inventories are depleted. It is challenging for restaurants, especially pizzerias and Italian eateries that use tomatoes as a foundation ingredient. These businesses, many still recovering from pandemic-related losses, now face the impossible choice of raising menu prices, changing recipes, or absorbing costs they simply cannot afford. Families who cook at home to save money, these increases make budget meal planning more difficult. Pasta with tomato sauce, long a budget-friendly dinner option, becomes less economical. And for the millions of Americans who rely on tomato-based products as affordable ways to add nutrition and flavor to meals, fewer alternatives will be available. Stock up now, especially on canned tomatoes, tomato paste, and jarred sauces, which have a shelf life of 12-18 months. While you cannot store fresh tomatoes long-term, properly canned and preserved tomato products maintain their nutritional value and flavor. Tariffs are expected to have a significant impact on food prices across numerous categories, while expert analyses suggest an overall food price increase of 1.6% to 2.8% from all 2025 tariffs. Certain items like tomatoes could see increases of up to 100%. Let's recap the 12 foods most likely to see significant price increases by June. 1. Seafood, especially from Vietnam, 46% tariff. 2. Coffee, with 99% imported, mostly from tariffed countries. 3. Wine, particularly European varieties, facing 20% tariffs. 4. Nuts, with cashews from Vietnam facing 46% tariffs. 5. Cheese imported varieties from Europe facing 20% tariffs. 6. Olive oil, already expensive and facing 20% tariffs from Europe. 7. Chocolate with cocoa from Ivory Coast facing 21% tariffs. 8. Vanilla potentially facing tariffs up to 47% from Madagascar. 9. Spices, with major suppliers facing tariffs of 26 to 46%. 10. Fresh produce, particularly off-season and tropical fruits. 11. Meat, with supplemental supplies facing 10% tariffs. 12. Tomatoes, with Mexican imports facing a 17.9% tariff. While not all these foods will literally double in price by June, the increases will be substantial enough to impact household budgets. For a family spending $1,000 monthly on groceries, these tariff-related increases could add $30.80 or more to monthly food costs, and that's on top of regular inflation. So what should you do? Consider strategically purchasing non-perishable items now. Canned tomatoes, coffee, spices, olive oil, and other shelf-stable foods with long storage lives. For perishables like meats, cheese, and some produce, freezing is an option for extended storage.
If you act now, you can actually grab them before the new pricing kicks in.
This isn't about panic buying or hoarding. It's about making informed decisions to protect your family's budget in uncertain times. By understanding which foods are most vulnerable to price increases and taking measured steps now, you can help minimize the impact of these tariffs on your household finances. Well, that's it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and click on any of the cards on your screen right now to keep the fun going.